Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapavaya Bhagavati Ruttamaśloke Bhaktirbhavati Naistike Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha Śrī Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 18, the battle between Lord Boar and Hiryanaksa. So, we are at which text?
Text 14, Prabhuji.
Text 14, 1-4. So happy Ramanavami to everyone. Yesterday, it was good Nama Ramayanam singing.
Absolutely. Yes, Prabhuji.
And
Absolutely.
Rama Raksha.
Yes, very nice recitation, Prabhuji. Very nice.
Nama Ramayanam is very, very special because it has 108 pastimes of Ramayana and they go in a sequence. Okay, so very beautiful it is. And originally Ramayana has we know that 7 cantos, 24,000 shlokas. Just imagine, 24,000 shlokas, 500 chapters. Bhagavatam has 335 chapters. Ramayana has 500 chapters and one storyline. So what makes Ramayana very especially beautiful is because everything the Ramayana, will go in great depth. Ramayana will go. All emotions, everything is captured so beautifully in Ramayana that because Valmiki ji has that leeway of going in depth because he has only one storyline for 24,000 shlokas. Bhagavatam is, Dashavataram, stories of so many, and this is 18,000 shlokas. So someday we will start reading Ramayana also, but Ramayana is, its own sweetness. Some evening or something like that we have to start. Yeah, so back to Bhagavatam. So here we are reading now the battle between Varāha Deva and Hiranyaksha. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry. So we are in text 20. There is Hiryanaksa. So we come to text 14. Srujan amarshita shvasan manyu prachalitendriya asadhyatara daityah
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We're not able to hear you. Will I read the translation now?
Yeah, you are not able to hear me. Hari
Now
bol.
it's now.
Voice is breaking, Prabhuji.
Acha, acha, okay. Okay, yeah,
Now this
please
is
go
better.
ahead with the translation.
Okay. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with the discus Sudarshana, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda. Purport. The context of the reference given herein regarding Garuda and Indra is this. Once upon a time, Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, snatched away a nectar pot from the hands of the demigods in heaven in order to liberate his mother, Vinata, from the clutches of his stepmother, Kadaru,
Prabhuji,
the
this is
mother
which
of
purport? Which loka purport?
text 14, Prabhuji, 3rd Canto, chapter 19, text 14.
Yeah, yes. 1 second. Yeah, continue.
On learning of this, Indra, the king of heaven, hurled his thunderbolt against Garuda. With a view to respect the infallibility of Indra's weapon, Garuda, though otherwise invincible, being the Lord's own mount, dropped one of his wings, which was shattered to pieces by the thunderbolt. The inhabitants of higher planets are so sensible that even in the process of fighting, they observe the preliminary rules and regulations of gentleness. In this case, Garuda wanted to show respect for Indra since he knew that Indra's weapon must destroy something. He offered his wing. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so here it is. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. So now the demon, after his Gada attack is being nullified by the Supreme Lord so many times, Yajnaya Dhruta Rupaya, now he's throwing the trident. And the trident, it was torn to pieces with the Lord's disc, Sudarshan, which are the sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off the wing of Garuda. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes the pastime of Indra cutting off the wing of Garuda. So Garuda is the carrier of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, extremely powerful, and he is a pure devotee, Garuda. And he is known Swabhava and Swadharma. Okay, although Garuda is a pure devotee, his food is a snake, and he will be keep eating snakes or sometimes fish and something like that. Although Garuda himself is Garudaji himself is a pure devotee of the Lord. So here this was a fight, and what was the context is here that once upon a time Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, snatched away the nectar pot. And what was his reason? He just wanted to give this to his mother, Vinata. And because his mother was somehow controlled by the stepmother, Kadru, and who is the mother of the serpents. So Vinata and Kadru. So from the Vinata came the bird line, from the Kadru came the snake line. And this is what the evolution, the spiritual evolution of the various species in the universe. It is not about, the one species, Darwinian evolution, right? So here it is, the great Prajapatis, they are giving birth to even the lower species of life. This is the understanding, right? And the king of Indra, the king of heaven, Indra, became extremely angry at this. And therefore he threw thunderbolt towards Garuda. And now Garuda could very easily destroy even the thunderbolt, but maintaining the mana or the a respect of respect towards Indra, and also respect towards the thunderbolt, because it is come from the the bones of Dadichi. He just dropped one of his wing, and Prabhupada says here, this is how sensitive the residents of inhabitants of the higher planets are. That even in the process of fighting, they were observing the rules and regulations of gentleness. Correct. And this is exactly when the Akrantas they attacked India. There are stories of Maharana Pratap and these personalities. Maharana Pratap used to go with the two swords in the hand. He will ride his horse with two swords. Why two? Because if the opponent doesn't have a sword, he will give him the sword and then fight with him. This was the righteous fight. Okay. So we come to text 15. 1 second. Yeah. वृक्णे स्वशूले बहुतारिणा हरे प्रत्येत विस्तीर्ण उरु विभूतिमत् प्रवृद्धरोषा कठरो सकठरो समुष्टिना नदन् प्रहत्यन्तरधियतासुरः. Translation.
Translation: the demon was enraged when his trident was cut to pieces by the discus of the personality of Godhead. He therefore advanced towards the Lord and, roaring aloud, struck his hard fist against the Lord's broad chest, which bore the mark of Śrīvatsa. Then he went out of sight. Purport: Śrīvatsa is a curl of white hair on the chest of the Lord, which is a special sign of his being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Vaikuṇṭha Loka or in Goloka Vrindavan, the inhabitants are exactly of the same form as the personality of Godhead, but by this Srivatsa mark on the chest of the Lord, he is distinguished from all others. Hare Krishna.
So the fight, now it's an enraged fight. And the demon, he became very, very angry, very upset that his trident, which was powerful, was cut into pieces. He advanced towards the Lord, hit him very hard with his fist on the broad chest of the Lord, which bore the mark of Srivatsa, and thus went out of the sight, Antardhana. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that when there is a Sarupya Mukti, all the Vishnudutas, they look exactly like Lord Vishnu. But there are some special symbols and special marks which are not present on Vishnuduta, but the Supreme Lord Vishnu there. And one of this is Srivatsa. And the Srivatsa mark on the chest of the Lord is what distinguishes him from all others in that particular type of Vaikuṇṭha. So here that Vaikuṇṭha is also referred as in Golok Vrindavan. Why in Golok Vrindavan? Because in Golok Vrindavan also, the devotees of the Lord will have the form similar to Lord. Not that doesn't mean Krishna Rupa, but that is two-handed form of the Lord. Okay. So in the Vaikuṇṭha, the form will be almost similar to Lord Vishnu. Four-handed Vishnu Rupa form, the Vaikuṇṭha Vasis will have. But in Golok Vrindavan, the devotees will have the two-handed form, Dvibhuja form of the Lord, but their containers, their appearance will be different. Okay, so this is the difference. Text 16. Tene tamahata kshattar Bhagavan adisukarah nakam patmana kvapi srajja harata ivadvipah. Translation.
Hid in this manner by demon, O Vidura, the Lord who had appeared as the first boar, did not feel the least quacking in any part of his body, any more than an elephant would when stuck with a wreath of flowers. Purport. As previously explained, the demon was originally a servitor of the Lord in Vaikuṇṭha, but somehow or other he fell as a demon. His fight with the Supreme Lord was meant for his liberation. The Lord enjoyed the striking on his transcendental body, but just like a fully grown up father fighting with his child, sometimes a father takes a pleasure in having a mock fight with his small child, and similarly, the Lord felt Hiryanaksa's striking on his body to be like flowers offered for worship. In other words, the Lord desired to fight in order to enjoy his transcendental bliss. Therefore, he enjoyed the attack.
In this manner, the demon he hit the Supreme Lord Adisukara, and that very very mighty blow on the Supreme Lord. How did the Lord feel? It He did not feel the least quacking on any part of his body. No more, any more than elephant would even struck with the wrath of the flowers. Okay, if the elephant is walking, and if you take a rose flower and hit the rose flower to the elephant, the elephant, what difference does it make to elephant? That was Hiranyaksha's blow to the Supreme Lord Adisukara. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes here, there is an internal mood of Bhagavan Adisukara. When the demon was fighting, demon had completely forgotten his sambandha gyan about the Supreme Lord. But the Supreme Lord, at times he was aware of his Bhagavatta. Just like yesterday we were discussing that when Lord Ram, he performed the Antisamskar of Jatayu, and then he sent him back home, back to Godhead. So some of the very rare instances in Ramayana where the Supreme Lord Supreme Lord Ram, he displays his Bhagavatta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says there that I am the Supreme Lord and I will send him back to my Dham, Saket Ayodhya Vaikuṇṭha. And this is how Jatayu was dispatched. So here in this case, the Lord, Prabhupada says many times, the child will fight with the father, fully grown up, strong, sturdy man. And the child may give a blow to the father. And how father will feel? So similarly, the father will enjoy the fight. And similarly here, the Lord is enjoying the fight. Lord is enjoying the fight. So although the demon is giving the mighty blows to the Lord is taking as he's offering me lotus flowers. Right. This is very similar other instance that we see when Bhishma is fighting along in front of the Supreme Lord, Parthasarathi, and Bhishma is hitting with all his might. He's hitting the arrows, and these arrows are piercing the body of the Supreme Lord, Shyamasundar. And there is a blood oozing from the Lord's body, and there is a very heroic scene which is being created. But what is the internal understanding of the Lord? Bhishma's arrow, Prabhupada writes in that purport, very Rasika purport. Prabhupada writes, so Bhishma's arrow, the Lord is taking as if the kiss by the lover. Right. So this is the Bhavagrahi Janardana. Text 17. Atho janmaya yogamayeshware harau yam vilokya prajastraktra meniresyopasayamam.
Should I read it, Prabhu?
Yeah,
The
please.
demon, however, employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of Yogamaya. At the sight of this, the people were filled with alarm and thought that the dissolution of the universe was near. Purport: the fighting enjoyment of the Supreme Lord with his devotee, who had been converted into a demon, appeared severe enough to bring about the dissolution of the universe. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the wavering of his little finger appears to be a great and very dangerous movement in the eyes of the inhabitants of the universe.
Now here the demon, he employed various conjuring tricks, various tantric mantric tricks he was applying, and to create different types of illusions. And what these illusions are, later we will see when there is a fight between Dhruva and the Yakshas. These illusions being created. That is very vividly explained there. But he was playing all this with the Lord of Yogamaya. Yogamayeshwaro Harau. So he's already the Supreme Master of Yogamaya. What to speak of Mahamaya? But the people, they were filled with alarm and thought that the end of the universe is very near. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the fighting enjoyed by the Supreme Lord and his devotee who had been converted into demon appeared very, very severe. And that the fighting was so severe that it appeared like there is a dissolution of the universe at hand now. But the greatness of the Lord is that he is Yogamaya Shware Harau. That he is the Supreme Lord, Master of Yogamaya. And therefore, whatever appears extremely dangerous and difficult, but simply by the movement of his little finger or movement of his eyes, he can completely nullify the situation. These pastimes we will see later in 10th Canto, that how there was such a havoc in Vrindavan. But Lord lifted, with little finger, he lifted Govardhan. There was torrential rains, right? The rains at the time of universal dissolution, Pralaya Kal, Samvartaka clouds were just pouring down the rains. Each raindrop was like the pillar it was falling on Vrindavan. And with little finger, the Lord just lifted Govardhan, right? And what appeared to be great and very dangerous moment was converted into pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So therefore he is called as Yogamayeshware Harau. Text 18. Pravartor Vayam Chandas Tamapansavamayaran Digmo Nipetur Gravanam Kshepanai Prahita Iva.
Fierce winds began to blow from all directions, spreading darkness occasioned by dust and hailstorms. Stones came in volleys from every corner, as if thrown by machine guns.
So these, why people felt like that? Because very furious wind began to blow from all the directions when the fight was going on, spreading the darkness along with the dust and the hailstorm. And one can imagine this is the demigods are getting frightened by this. Sometimes, when we have some Chakrivadad here, some hurricane, we become frightened. Now here, this is happening across the universe in such a way that even the demigods are, feeling frightened, and they are thinking, "Khatam, the universe is over." That the stones came in the volley in the every corner, and that if it is thrown by the machine guns. Okay, the word here used is kshepanai. Kshepanai is the machine gun. Kshepanastra. Okay, we call it kshepanastra. So this is kshepanai. Text 19. Dyaurnashta arbhagana braughau savidyut nayanis nubhi varshadbhir puyakeshu strats vinam mrusta dinis chasakrit. Translation.
The luminaries in outer space disappeared due to the skies being overcast with masses of clouds which were accompanied by lightning and thunder. The sky rained pus, hair, blood, stool, urine, and bones. Hare Krishna.
So the illusion that was created that the luminaries in the outer sky disappeared due to the skies being overcast with the masses of the clouds. Something similar we are going to see in Dhruva's fight with Yaksha. And the sky began to rain. The sky was raining the pus, hair, blood, stool, urine, and bones. Just imagine what must be the situations. Text 20. So compared to this, when you compare the modern demons, they have no power. They are more demoniac but less powerful. The previous demons were extremely powerful. But now modern times, Kali Yuga demons, they are very, very demoniac people. Extreme. I mean, sometimes you just These days, the kind of a crime that is going on, you just want to stop reading newspaper. So people are extremely demoniac, but power per se, who can manifest kind of this rain of pus, hair, blood, stool, urine, and bones? Nobody. So demons have become less powerful, but very more demoniac in Kali Yuga. Text 20. Giraya pratyadrushanta nanayudho amujonagha digvavaso yatu dhanya shudinyo muktamurdhaja. Translation.
Translation.
Most
In
illness
this
is
Yuga, mountains discharge weapons of various kinds, and naked demoness armed with tridents appeared with their hair hanging loose. Hare Krishna.
So while this was happening in the sky, while this kind of rain was falling, the mountains began to shoot the weapons of different kinds. And the naked demons appeared around with tridents and their hair hanging loose. Okay. So this was also an illusion that was being created by the potency of Hiryanaksa. So I don't want to say this because now it has become a very, very easy norm. But hair hanging loose is not considered very great in the Vedic times. Like yesterday, Ramayana thing, we saw that when Kaikeyi, she decided the crooked plan of Manthara to give in that plan, then she just loosened her hair, the first thing. She just, and then went to the chamber where she is supposed to lament, and she just fell on the ground with loose hair. So this reference will come again, later also in some of the pastimes. But this hair hanging loose from the Vedic standard is considered to be, a very great distress, or one is completely out of one's mind, that kind of a thing. Of course, Kali Yuga, things are different. So, but this is with reference to text 20. Text 21. बहुवेर्यक्ष क्षोभिः पत्यश्वररथकुञ्जरैः आततायिभिरुत्सृष्ट्वा हिंस्त्रावाचोति वैशसा. Translation.
Cruel and savage slogans were uttered by hosts of ruffian yakshas and rakshasas who all either marched on foot or rode on horses, elephants, or chariots.
So suddenly there was the host of the huge herd of the yakshas and the rakshasas who marched on either they rode on the horses. Thousands of horses started coming along with yakshas, rakshasas, and they are shouting abusing words. All this illusion is created in front of Lord Yogeshwara Hari, but everybody else was overwhelmed with this illusion. So thousands and thousands of yakshas, rakshasas, they were sitting on the horses, elephants, chariots, and simultaneously they appeared and began to attack on the Supreme Lord. Text 22. Pradushkritanam mayanam asurinam vinashayat sudarshanastram bhagavan prayuktam daitam tripat. Translation.
The Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshan, which was capable of dispersing the magical forces displayed by the demon. Purport. Even famous yogis and demons can sometimes enact very magical feats by their mystic power, but in the presence of the Sudarshan Chakra, when it is let loose by the Lord, all such magical jugglery is dispersed. The instance of the quarrel between Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish is a practical example in this matter. The Durvasa Muni wanted to display many magical wonders, but when the Sudarshan Chakra appeared, Durvasa himself was afraid and fled to various planets for his personal protection. The Lord is described here as Tripath, which means that he is the enjoyer of three kinds of sacrifices. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord confirms that he is the beneficiary and enjoyer of all sacrifices, penances, and austerities. The Lord is the enjoyer of three kinds of yajna. As further described in Bhagavad Gita, there are sacrifices of goods, sacrifices of meditation, and sacrifices of philosophical speculation. Those on the paths of jnana, yoga, and karma all have to come in the end to Supreme Lord, in the end to the Supreme Lord, because Vasudeva Sarvam iti, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate enjoyer of everything. That is the perfection of all sacrifice.
So the Lord, who is the personal enjoyer of all the sacrifices, now discharge Sudarshanastram Bhagavan. He just employed Sudarshan Chakra, which is capable of dispersing all these magical forces displayed by the demon. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the famous yogis and the demons sometimes they enact very magical feats by their mystic powers. So nowadays also we see some yogis doing some magic here and there, but these are like very, very preliminary kind of a magic. This is more a hat chalake, this is more a clever hand that they do than any even magic in that sense. But when Durvasa Muni picked up a fight with Maharaj Ambarish, he just plucked his hair, smashed on the ground, and there was a fiery demon which appeared, and the entire universe was trembling with, each foot of this demon taking towards Ambarish. Ambarish stayed his ground. He was simply folded his hands. Lord did not tolerate such a aparad against Ambarish Maharaj. He employed Sudarshan Chakra, and Sudarshan Chakra was so powerful. He burned the fiery demon. You can imagine, it's one thing, the fire burning, but Sudarshan Chakra became so angry upon this fiery demon that he burned the fiery demon to the ashes and started chasing now Durvasa Muni. And chasing with just sufficient distance that Durvas always felt threatened, he traveled across the universe, even up to the Supreme Lord. And but then he had to come back and take shelter of Maharaj Ambarish. So this is the potency of Durvasa Muni. This is the potency of Sudarshan Chakra. The Lord is also called as Tripatha here because he is the enjoyer of three kinds of sacrifices. What are these three? Bhoktaram Yakya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surudam Sarvabhutanam Jnatva Mam Shantim Richati. Srila Prabhupada used to call this as Shanti Shlok, the peace formula in Bhagavad Gita. He is also master of the three kinds of yagya, Dravya Yagya, Dhana Yagya, Tapo Yagya. He is master of all this. And ultimately, Jnana, Yoga and Karma must culminate into the understanding of the Supreme Lord. Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevah Sarvamiti. And this is the perfection of all the sacrifices. So we'll conclude here and continue tomorrow. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.